I will tell you, do you know what the number one killer to me in telesales? The number
Mm.
one killer is isolation.
Amen.
It is very, very isolating. I mean, when you're working face to face, at least you're in a face to face encounter with somebody. You're going to run across accidentally. You could roll across a lawn and accidentally run into a friendly person who's going to give you a hug on face to face sales.
True.
But in telesales, you're maximizing, if you're doing it correctly, you're getting more rejection in a day than most face to face people deal with in a week, in a month, if you're doing it right. And that can get in your head. If you're by yourself, you don't know what needs tweaked or what needs changed. It's a more nuanced
Mm.
sale. Without proper leadership, it's very easy to fall out of this and wonder if it works for anybody. That's what I see. Isolation is a killer.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. Man, I'm excited for today. This cat I'm about to interview, I'm telling you, I believe he's the best final expense telesales trainer on the planet. Now, he's really humble. He's going to downplay it, but I'm telling you guys, bro, like he is
Too much.
unfreaking believable. Okay. He is unbelievable, phenomenal. Also, you saw it. He was the mentor that helped us hit 100K in the Ultimate Agent Challenge just recently, right?
That's-
He's like, boom, he comes in and then just had an
it was
amazing
that
day.
simple, Cody.
That's it.
I think, where were we? I think we're only at 18,000 when I showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And
82
it,
grand in a few hours, man. No big
that's
deal.
right. That's right. Cheers. That was a lot of fun, man.
That was a blast. Yes, that was a ton of
Had a
fun.
great time.
I mean, dude, I would love to kind of I want to jump into a bunch of stuff, but
Okay.
were you always this good at sales?
No, sir. No, sir. Matter of fact, my launch into this wasn't an interest in sales. I was a youth pastor for 16 years, got introduced through out of necessity. Housing crisis caused some changes at the church I was working at.
Mm.
And my wife and I felt called to the church. So that means it was a vocation change. We felt like we should stay there. We moved here for the purpose, and here in Louisville, Kentucky, for the purpose of being at that church.
Wow.
And it was time for a career change. And I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. I started waiting tables at a fine dining establishment. Not really. It was just above Outback Steakhouse.
Eh,
Probably not sponsored by them, but um, had to iron a shirt every day. And then
wow.
I was on the side working at a roofing supply place, trying to literally put food on the table and figure things out. I didn't know what was next.
Dang, man.
Yeah, and ran into Roger. Roger was a volunteer in my student ministries, and he introduced me into this business. But when he did it, he introduced me with the idea of building a business, coming alongside working with him to create something and invest in people. That's what excites me, is
Mm.
growing people. And I love that part of it. And then he shared this idea of sales, and my stomach dropped a little bit. And then he shared this idea of investing in leads, and then I almost threw up. So that was like my entry into this. My joke is that the only thing I ever sold was a refrigerator magnet to my grandma in sixth grade. It was a hard sale, like that was it. And but you know what? With Roger's mentorship, um, after a year and a half of part time, because I was scared to death of letting go, I had lost a lot of things in my life,
Wow.
like money, house, all that stuff. It took a lot for me to let go, but I trusted him as my mentor, and I'm glad I did. And a year after that, I built a team doing 1.5 million, and I had learned, if you're willing to do the work, it's not hard to. If you're willing to show up, do the work, refine your skill set,
That's
you
right.
can write 300, 400, 500,000. It doesn't take a lot to get there if you're willing to do the work. And you can teach. This is the thing that excites me the most. You can teach other people to do the same thing. And that's what we've been doing in these boot camps. We've done them all over the country. I get excited about it. I learn new
Mhm.
things from these boot camps every time we do them, and we've seen some some stars come out of it. Like, I know you and I think Clark Stanley have something going on right now.
Yeah.
But it's been cool to see him develop as a result of being in our boot camps. But I love this business, man. I love what it does and what it offers people.
Yeah, he's also for those that I gave you a wild intro, but I don't even know if I told you Chris's name. Chris Ball, creator of Life Insurance Academy, with Roger and Zach, dude, unbelievable dudes. Chris is, and what's crazy is Clark does. For those that don't know what we're talking about, Clark Stanley, he's gonna write, I don't even know, 400 or 500 grand this year probably, on his own pen, final expense, telesales. Uses Kaboom, which I'm grateful for. But if
Yeah,
he credits, and he was on the Ultimate Agent Challenge. If you haven't seen the show, you can check it out on our YouTube channel or some behind the scenes coaching moments and calls at castudios.tv. But he credits a lot of his success to those telesales boot camps and like being in the room,
yeah,
how many agents are just like lost, no script, no system, no clue what to do, and they show up to these boot camps, and to be honest, they're fairly terrible.
yeah.
They're being
you know,
honest.
yeah, no, this, you know what, I will tell you, do you know what the number one killer to me in telesales? The number
Mm.
one killer is isolation.
Hey man.
It is very, very isolating. I mean, when you're working face to face, at least you're in a face to face encounter with somebody. You're going to run across accidentally. You could roll across a lawn and accidentally run into a friendly person who's going to give you a hug on face to face sales.
True.
But in telesales, you're maximizing, if you're doing it correctly, you're getting more rejection in a day than most face to face people deal with in a week, in a month, if you're doing it right. And that can get in your head. If you're by yourself, you don't know what needs tweaked or what needs changed. It's a more nuanced
Mm.
sale. Without proper leadership, it's very easy to fall out of this, and wonder if it works for anybody. That's what I see. Isolation is a killer.
So
I
good.
didn't expect to see the value of community. I expected to see the value of training in boot camps. What surprised me was the value of the community in the boot camps that has grown
Right.
over time, and people seeing and hearing other people on calls like, "Oh, you got hung up on just like I get hung up on. Oh,
Mm.
somebody swore at you. Holy cow, they're swearing at me too." Like, you know,
Yeah.
then hearing a room buzzing with calls and then debriefing, like, I think the number one secret of the boot camps are the community that comes out of it, and the stepping away from that isolation and creating friendships with people who are in the same business.
Amen. Yeah, and when he talks about boot camps, he's talking about the telesales boot camps that he does. Um, well, pretty much. I mean, they're happening every month or every few weeks now all over the country.
Right.
You just got back from one in Cali with
Yes.
Empower and Dana Neeson.
Yes, that was fantastic. Very good. And
Yeah,
they did an excellent job leading that boot camp, and I can't wait to see what they produce next year as a result of it. And
awesome.
we do them both with, um, inside of Lasting Mark and Life Insurance Academy. We do boot camps as well. So if people are trying to figure it out, like you said, Cody, it's not. It is more challenging being on your own and seeing words on a paper as a script. And this is a key point to it: finding your voice in the script,
Mm,
finding yourself in the script to where you sound natural, where there's good tonality, pacing, you're not going too fast, where you sound confident. Those are all key pieces. Just a little nugget here, and what we do in helping these agents is helping people understand that trust is something that's established in a call. That's very important. Everybody understands that, but it's maintained throughout the call based on your tonality and your cadence and your pacing and your competence. Just one simple thing for agents out there, new agents. Maybe you know your script pretty well, but you do not know your EAPS or
mm.
your underwriting. That is a quick way to lose trust, and you didn't even know you lost it. You had no idea. You were like, let me my computer seems to be having issues, like you're in the
Oh,
Philippines, like you're you think you're having issues or pretending you're having issues, and the client secretly is asking, does this person know what they're doing?
mm.
Can I trust them? and you didn't even realize it. And at the end, they're saying, I need to think about it.
That's
That's,
right.
yeah. So maintaining that trust on your competence level will help you be more confident. Just that little piece is a big, big piece we go over inside of our boot camps.
It's good, man. It's great. What do you think is like when you do these? What do you think you notice the most? Because I do agree. Like I've been saying with the 8%, we've been saying this community over isolation. You know, like what you just talked about, which is amazing. Um, what do you notice when they come to the boot camp and they get community, or some of these pre Zoom calls you do? What do most agents? Which what part are they? Do they struggle with, or they're not doing well? What do you see?
That's a good question. And I'll give you a couple of spots where I see agents. First of all, I like what you said, struggle, right? The first thing I want agents to understand is it is a struggle, and everybody struggles. Everybody. To me, expectations are very, very important, and this is what I'm anticipating from people. If you're willing to do the work and you're willing to invest in your leads on a regular basis, you can get to a point where you're a high producer and you're putting numbers on the board. At some point, you're going to look at your production and your deposits, and you're going to realize, holy moly, I need to do something different because those are not matching up, and you're getting some chargebacks. And that means there are some dials that need adjusted in the sales process. But
Mm,
if everybody understands that, hey, in 14 months, I can have a great, thriving, running business. And along the way, I'm going to have to keep learning and committing and learning and committing and
yes.
failing and committing and learning. Cool. As long as we can all start there, I'm awesome. The next piece is the front side tonality is key. Having
Mm,
the conversation with a client on the phone. And the thing I've learned is every agent talks way too fast, forgetting that they're talking to a senior on the other side of the phone,
amen.
and they're trying to process that conversation. And that's one piece of it is understanding pacing. That you're talking to Miss Betty, and Miss Betty needs to understand the words that you're saying, and she needs a moment to respond to say, "Yes, I'm Miss Betty," and then you can continue on to verification, and without any weird gaps in between.
Mm,
Pretty simple. Okay. The other piece of that, as far as the very front side of this call for agents, is that gap piece. They will look at their script, and because of the script and the sentences and the structure, they will pause, and it will create a moment where it sounds like you are giving permission
mm,
or asking permission to continue.
yeah.
And then there's a weird interruption, and you're having to deal with a an objection that might have come up that didn't even need to come up
Mm,
at that point.
that's good.
So that's on the front side of that piece. The second piece that we see where people are missing a lot of times, because they're committed to the this is agents are committed to a script. They're learning the script, but the script is the bones of a conversation. So you should know your script without looking at it. That's what I ask agents before we get to the event. Please know your script without looking at it.
Mm,
You're still going to sound scripted for a new agent. You're still going to for some reps for a while. That's where you're going to find your voice. But there's a key point in the sales process where the sale happens. And I mentioned this on the show. We didn't get into the deep dive of it, but it's the stakes. And it's what the client has to gain or what the client has to lose. And in most cases, people respond to what they're going to lose, what's at
mm,
risk. And I say it like when I do the training, I talk about it like um, the movie The Christmas Carol with Scrooge. I don't know if you ever saw it.
yeah.
It's a classic. Okay, if you don't know, watch Muppet Christmas Carol. Okay, but anyway, Scrooge is visited by this final ghost, and it's the ghost of Christmas future. and I say you need to be the ghost of Christmas future. And what you simply do is take them into the future and point to the future what it will be like without you being there. What's that going to look like?
Mm.
And when people see that, I honestly believe this, Cody, 100%. If I could take a client into a time machine to show them what it looks like a week after they have passed for their families, they would ask me for the policy.
Mm.
If I took them 3 months into the future after they had passed, they would beg me for the policy. I don't care how much insurance they have. They would beg me for it because they do not know what's at stake in their own life. They don't know that. So, simple questions we ask for stakes. What would it look like, or what does it look like for Tammy when she's sitting in the funeral home and they're asking, what does mom want for a song? What does mom want for her coffin, headstone, all of that. And then at the end of that conversation, they're going to ask her for a check. And you don't have anything in place right now. God forbid if something happened tomorrow, what would that look like? That's my ghost of Christmas future question. So I can take them to that moment in the future. I don't know. I don't know. How
Mm.
does that make you feel? Not great. How would that make Tammy feel? Not great. So, how would you like it to look? Well, if you could have it the perfect way, how would you like Tammy to be taken care of? All right. All right. Great. Why is that important to you? Simple stakes questions. Why is that important to you? And then the final piece is we edify them and their philosophical belief that they are good parents and good parents should take care of their kids. And we edify that piece. And once agents, that takes some time to understand that process and identify it because some mistakes that I see that agents make is they feel like they're the stakes manufacturer, like they have
Mm.
to create it. Um, but not all stakes are the same. Like that conversation may sound different. Like from our conversation, it sounds like Tammy's been looking after you and she's living with you. Um, God forbid if something happened to you, what would that look like for Tammy when you're gone? Would she continue to have the apartment? Would she continue to stay there? What would that look like? That's a that's me identifying the stakes. It's
Wow.
so what we say is identify and raise. We're just turning up the heat a little bit so they can understand and see into the future a little bit because I believe that's where the sale happens. It's an emotional decision that they're making. And most of the client agents when they're starting, so funny, man. And I know this. It's a external need they're trying to solve. And I hear it happen. I mean, there's a agent I tease on occasion who comes to the boot camps, and I'm like, I walked by and I heard him say, "Come on, Mary, work with me." Like he's in the boiler room. He's in the boiler room trying to sell stocks. But
Work with.
it, yeah, and then instead of like getting to the stakes and
Mm-hmm.
turning it down, it actually slows down and those pauses and letting people sit in it for a moment. That's where the sale happens. I feel like I'm doing all the talking. I hope
No,
this is
that's it's really
valuable and helpful.
phenomenal value. Yeah, yeah. If you guys are getting amazing value, let us know in comments below. I love Chris Ball. I love his training. I'm going to interrupt the podcast to tell you about our Kaboom leads that are literally blowing up. If you would love to never get disconnected numbers or wrong numbers ever again, then you will love our leads at Kaboom Leads. All of our lead types, we text the prospect a 6-digit security code. They go back in the funnel and put that in to verify that it is a real accurate cell phone number, and they've responded to a text message. We do this for all of our lead types. If you haven't tried Kaboom Leads, you can use coupon code podcast to get 10% off of your very first order at kaboomleads.com. Back to the show. I feel like it's like, I don't know, what's your opinion on this? Are agents scared to ask some of those tough questions? And when
Yes,
it gets uncomfortable, do they get uncomfortable and then move on too quickly versus sitting in it?
very good. Very good identification, and it
Hmm.
hits home with me. And I can actually recommend a book. Okay,
Oh,
um, I say I'm a recovering people pleaser. I do not enjoy conflict. I can jump into it now. I don't enjoy it. Um, but I read the book Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott, and
Fierce
she
conversation.
fierce conversations by Susan Scott. And in the book, she talks about how most people have 80% conversations and they live in that 80%. But life changes at 20% conversations.
Mm,
Like if you can push through the easy stuff and not do it in a passive aggressive way and do it in an honest, clear way, change happens. Yes, yes. And she was actually on our podcast.
wow.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah. I,
go.
I I reached out to her early on and said, "Hey, I'm a recovering people pleaser. Love to have you on the show." And she said, "I love that line." She came on the show, and it's one of our earlier, and it's not even video, Cody. We didn't even video it. That's
Oh
how
my gosh.
goofy we were. It's all audio. It was back in the phonograph days, you're cranking the thing. But no, she did an amazing job. It's worth a listen.
Mm,
Um, and when I learned that, I was like, man, I do a lot of 80% conversations. And I learned that somebody has to be uncomfortable in the sales process.
yeah.
Somebody does. And if there's no discomfort, you are selling off confidence or you're selling off charisma, which, come on, right? I'm just kidding.
Work with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, work with me. You're selling off that, and that does not keep business. It doesn't. Stakes keep business, and so I learned that
Mm,
without 20% conversations, those are hungry agents who aren't willing to move into those questions. Because when you get in there, yes, it's uncomfortable, but wait until you pause for 10 seconds. That's even more uncomfortable. But you will find when you ask that question and pause, they'll keep talking and raise the stakes themselves.
mm.
That pause will happen, and you can show some empathy. And I love the way Jalen Talley talks about it. Maybe you've heard of him, True Wealth, but Jalen will say, I throw him these noises like doesn't even say anything, mm, you know, or
Mm.
ask further questions. Tell me more about that. There's great stuff there. Um, and when I see agents start to master that, I tell agents who are selling just off charisma and confidence, I could not sell that way. I've tried it. I'm not interested.
Mm.
It's way harder. I'd rather have people ask me how to get the product. Uh, and that's if you do the stakes, typically you're going to get some type of response along those lines. So that's
That's awesome.
important.
That's amazing. Actually, I just bought the book. It's on its way. I've been reading 10 minutes every morning again, so I'm excited to read the
Oh,
book.
cool, man. Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
it. Love it. It was an important book for me.
I haven't read it.
Recommended. Yeah, it was recommended.
That's cool.
Another piece, I do want to address one other thing, Cody, that I think is
Please.
important here is the edification of people as a person. And I've heard agents try this and it can sound condescending. It has to match the tone of the stakes. But being able to say, you may say, hey, you're a good mom. I don't know if you hear that. You're a good mom. Do your kids tell you? No, they don't. Well, Miss Betty, let's get them on the phone because I want them to know. Like that's how I tell people that stuff. Like, or you can, but if it's over the top, if it's it can sound not like condescending, insincere.
Yeah.
It has to match the level of the stakes there. But the edification is important, and it comes back later too, because I feel like sometimes on the pricing side of things, people can feel like if they can't get it all, they don't want it. And that's
True.
a lot of times that's a pride issue as a parent. Like, well, that's my job. And if
Mm.
I can't get it, I don't want it. And I have seen agents address that and helping them understand that as parents, all we're doing is the best we can. That's all we're doing. And we can't always have the perfect choice, but what we can do is make the next best choice for our kids because they're always going to be our kids. And would it be easier for Stephanie to borrow $10,000 or would it be easier for her to borrow 5,000 from the family?
Mm.
How would she feel knowing that you at least did the best you could to make sure this was taken care of? How would she feel? Good. Okay. Because I want to bring dignity to people because we're working with low middle income on final expense, and I want to bring
Yeah.
dignity to them so that they have permission to make the next best choice, not make the perfect choice, because nobody makes the perfect choice as a parent. I'm always questioning if I made the right choice as a parent, but I
Yeah.
did the best I could. I did. But so anyway, that's another piece where I see edification coming in and empowering them to move forward and take action based on them being good parents.
Strong. What's what for the edification thing? Give an example of how you've heard someone do it wrong, and it can sound insincere.
Um, it sounds like a canned response, like,
Ah,
"Oh, Miss Betty, I can tell that you love your family more than anything." It's really in the tone of how it's coming across,
yeah.
especially when the script sounds scripted, meeting up to that point. I'm saying they're coming over the top with the edification.
Mm,
It needs to be eye to eye level, and you're not eye to eye with that person, but I'm saying it's you as a human being acknowledging them as a human being. Hey, you're a good mom.
yeah.
You're a great mom. It doesn't need to be, oh, you're the best mom in the world, stuff like that. But that's the tendency. Like
Yeah.
pendulums and the boot camps tend to swing hard. I'm going to implement this and I'm going to try this. And if you're doing it, great, do it. But understand it's probably going to find it where it needs to settle. Most important thing. This is the most important thing. Sales is about change, and it's a human to human interaction. It's people talking to people, helping them make the best next choice. And if we can take the pressure off of that, even on the front side of the call, understanding that when people are calling in or you're calling them, that they're looking for information. Like, I don't have to sell it on the front side of this call. And if I put pressure on it to sell it on the front side of the call, I've lost. But if I can help people get information that could help their family and I
Mm,
can help them discover how badly they need it in the sales process, we can do something special here. We can build a business on that.
exactly.
Yeah.
How often do you think it's interesting because agents blame a lot of outside factors for the lack of their success. How often is it that because everybody says they want it and they can blame whatever leads or their upline or the carriers, whatever, how often is it that how often do you see that they are just not properly trained?
That's a good question. A lot. I would say properly trained. A lot more through the podcast.
Mm,
The people who are reaching out and they're
yeah.
just looking for something. They're like floating, like, hey, can somebody throw me a line? You know,
Yeah.
yanking people, or at least trying to provide some direction to them.
Hmm.
Um, I would say the bigger issue is not taking ownership of the training that they currently have, not taking ownership
Mm,
of their opportunity. I see a lot of practice on calls and not outside of calls, and that is huge to me. Are you willing to do the work? Like when I started, I made 3x5 cards of different ages, different health conditions, tobacco, non-tobacco, and I practiced with my wife. Weird date nights, but it was, you know, I did. I literally did. And she was amazing. She took it way more serious than I would. And she's like, "Do you mean this or not?" I'm like, "Yes, Mr. Jones, like but I did. I took it seriously and you don't you don't play basketball. You don't practice basketball by being on the court with the team playing basketball.
yeah.
You practice. Practice. We're talking about
Like
practice.
a
Like,
practice.
yeah, if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to listen to Cody in the podcast, if you're listening to Dana on in her training and Mike and Jalen and True Wealth, if you're listening, I've heard people tell me that they've improved in their sales just by listening to the podcast.
Wow.
I've heard that. Um, so if you're willing to dive in and grow and make those adjustments, listen to your sales and ask the question, would you buy from yourself?
Mm,
That's a great training process. Read books. Like one of the biggest um, factors for me is reading. and I listened to Zig Ziglar and what I believed was a corny sales thing. I listened to him. I thought, this guy's so corny. He's got all these one-liners, but I listened to 15 hours of his
Wow.
secrets to closing the sale, and I started to pay close attention to his belief and his attitude.
Mm.
And that's transferable. Belief and attitude is transferable. And he said that you can, people don't buy because they don't have enough. They say no because they don't know. That's how he said it. They don't. So I was like, holy moly, man. They don't know. They don't have enough information. I'm going to know these carriers. I'm going to know exactly how many bricks are in the American Amicable building. I'm going to know A plus ratings, all the riders, all that stuff. Nobody cares. but
True.
but then I realized, I mean, it was like it dawned on me that people don't know enough about their own lives and their own situations and their own needs. They've never verbalized it. All they do is go to bed and stare at the ceiling and worry. And nobody's asked them a question that allowed them to verbalize it in their life.
Mm.
No agent's doing that. Most of them are saying, you need this, right? You need this to take care of your family, right? I guess so. You know, they're telling them. They're telling them. They're not asking them and giving them the voice for it.
Good.
That was
Gosh, that's
important.
you don't hear that this stakes what you're talking about a lot today. You don't hear that. I don't know if we've ever heard that on here. You know, like that's not a normal thing to talk about. Like it's really cool to hear. How often is it the leads?
Is this a commercial?
Maybe.
I will say I do love your leads. I do.
Thank
I
you.
do.
I love
They're
you.
fantastic. That is my recommended lead for our boot camps.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's very seldom. It's very very seldom. I think maybe I don't even really want to say this. Maybe in telesales, it's a bigger factor of making sure. So to me, one of the most important factors in telesales for new agents is talk time,
Mm.
and that means you have to get people on the phone. So if you're working, you're in a position where you have no choice, aged leads, that's a bigger challenge of getting the talk time, and you feel like you're doing 5 times more work because you're not talking and you're dialing.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge that because it's all about expectations to me.
Mm.
So if you're in a place where that's happening, just understand that's what you have to do to build up your investment into a more qualified lead, like a
Yeah.
Kaboom lead. Like that's my take on it. But it is funny because I hear agents who this my buddies say this. My buddy Elvir Razdarovich says this. All leads suck, and I agree with him. Like if you approach it that way, that what is a lead? A lead is simply an opportunity for a conversation. That's what Roger taught me. That's
Mm.
it.
Amen.
It's an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody. Beyond that, they expressed interest. I can work with that. I can live with that. And the rest is on me and my skill set. So if you're looking for, here's the deal. If you're looking for an outside factor to blame for your failure or failure to launch, it's you're not gonna ever win. You will never win, and you probably haven't won at something in a while. It's always going to be somebody else. It's That's why I love this business because I think it reveals areas where we need to grow as human beings. Like if you're blaming leads, you probably blame your spouse. Like
It's
you
good.
have to take extreme ownership of your life and your business, and it's on you. It is on you completely. One time, Cody, I'm such an experimenter, dude. I took, I, if you're in some type of, I don't know, law enforcement, cover your ears. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But I took some signs and I ordered, I had Roger's daughter, Maddie, draw on a sign. I don't even know what they're called, poster board, um, cheap burial insurance, and a Google number.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to get 300 of these and throw them out there. And me and my sons, we went out and hammered these to stupid posts on boards, all that stuff. I wrote 5,000 off of that.
Wow.
5,000.
Shut up.
And I would have written more if they weren't taken down within a week. Most of them were torn down. And if I did auto insurance, I would have written a lot of it because I got a lot of those calls too. But this is what I believe. And it comes down to this, man. It really does. Belief in the market, your product, you as a person to be able to meet the needs of people. Opportunity is everywhere. It is everywhere. And are you the person who can help people? And you have to take ownership of your opportunity. It's completely up to you whether you win or lose.
Hey, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's so good. So good. Yeah, because you don't even allow agents to work age leads at your boot camps at all.
No, they can't come. I had an agent do that once, and I said, "You snuck into my boot camp? You snuck in. You snuck into my boot camp." No, we want them to have a trainable experience. Like we want them to have. I can't coach if they're not on calls where they're talking to people, and that's the primary goal. And it takes, from our perspective, it's 3 boot camps to full launch. You're compressing from what I've heard of other leaders and in the industry who've been a part of our boot camps. It's compressing 3 months into 1 week.
Wow.
Like on launch. So if we can if we get 3 years or three boot camps in, then we've done 9 months of work in those boot camps. So it's pretty strong. We dig it. We love it. We work, bro. Like it's 8:30 to 8:30 in the morning to 10 p.m. for 2.5 days. We go out and celebrate the last night and have wonderful Mexican food and hand out prizes and get testimonials. Dude, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a powerhouse of empowerment. It's a cool thing.
I can feel it because when Chris talked about that, he's listening in on everybody's calls too, right? So I sat in on one here in Springfield last year, I think, or earlier this year. I don't know. Been a while back. And dude, you truly enjoy it a lot. Like you really do. Like you were built and created to help people. I think we all were, but you especially.
Yeah, let's hug.
Let's go. Let's a big virtual hug. Here he comes. Here he comes. Also, Chris is a very good hugger. If you ever get a chance to meet Chris, okay, great hugger. Great hug. Dude, if they want to learn more about, Life Insurance Academy, Lasting Mark, boot camps, etc., what do they do or where do they go?
Yeah, I don't know if you throw things up. At Chris Top Ball is my Instagram handle. I think that's what the kids call it. At Chris Top Ball.
Short for Christopher. Chris
yes,
Top.
Short for Christopher. Yep, Chris Top Ball. Lifeinsuranceacademy.org if you'd like to learn more about our coaching and our courses or boot camps. And finally, if you don't have a home and you're looking for a home, lastingmark.com. I'm happy to discuss any of that. You can just, I don't know what the kids say, dial me up. 6'7". I don't know what the kids say.
I don't know. Something. I love it. Yeah, I like the IG. If they want to email you, where would they do? Where would they do that?
They can email me at chris.ball@lastingmark.com.
Cool. I love it. Incredible info. We got to have you back again soon. Thank you for being.
It's fun, man.
So good,
fun.
bro.
Good times.
So good. You're a beast. Thank you for being a part of the Power Players podcast.
You got it. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Appreciate you. Also, man, how good was Chris Top Ball today, bro? Oh my gosh, man. Let us know in comments below if you enjoyed this. If you know another agent that needs this, share this with them today. Thanks for hanging on the podcast, and we will see you on the next one. Go boom.